Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a new video in the Farsi script. In today's lesson we are going to talk about how to write the Farsi in the let's say the Mursala way, the one we talked about before. Now first we are going to start with the lines that we use for the writing of this script. So let's imagine that we have this as our baseline, the line that will contain the main body of the script. Now generally on this line we will have the letters such as the ba, fa and kaf, anything that the body of it will just sit on this line. For example, the ba, and these letters would be clear if we were to look into the Arabic calligraphy as itself. They are quite famous, the letters that go on the line, the majority of them do, but sometimes we might need to either go up the line or lower than the line. Now, above this line, we need a certain amount of points to show the maximum heights. So, the first one would be the 4 or 5 points related to alifs, because for alifs we sometimes do 3, 4, 5 points of height, depending on how high an alif will be. So this would be the second line to the top that comes parallel to the one in the bottom. This is where the alifs would intersect. For example, we have a kaf, and for the kaf we already go up 1 point. So the alif for the kaf sort of goes up 3 points. So here we have the alif for the kaf that goes up 1 point. Then the cup or the body of it will come on the line because it's basically looks like a ba, but it's 3 points of height. Now above this line we're going to need 2 points for the cap of the alif. If you remember from that lesson, for the kaf lesson, we're going to use 2 points for the kaf cap. So this adds up a new line where the hat will start and comes down to here. So here we've got 6 points, for example. Sometimes you will get more than this if the kaf cap is higher, just like this. So this would lead into actually 7 points of heights for the cap of the kaf. Now this is the maximum height above the baseline, which is usually governed by the kaf itself. Now we have a lower line that governs the drop of letters. The first line would be governed by the letters such as lam, noon and sin. For the majority of those letters we have 2 points. This baseline we call chair, the kursi, and whatever above it and below it are just lines that come with what letters we have in the script. So if we took this to be our 0 line, we've got 1 that contains the let's say +1 that contains the alifs, and we've got +2 that contains the kaf. Now here we have -1 that contains the cups, for example, for the lamb. So let's see, if we had the lamb, we stop here, and the cup for the lamb would come all the way down to here. The same thing goes for the noon. If we had the noon, it would come all the way down to here. There's a second drop which goes for the, let's say, the lower part of the meme. Now for that one it comes between 4 and 5, so we are going to add 3 points in addition to the 2 points that we've just added, and this will be our next negative line. Now keep in mind that the heights and drops here are all related to this zero line, our baseline, because in let's say styles such as the muqtarin, we sometimes go, not the muqtarin, the other one, the mudmaja, we sometimes actually increase another baseline, another kursi. So this is just for the mursala and the muqtarina, the scripts that come really basically on one line. So for the meme, as we can see, we've got a shape that goes on the kursi, on the main line here. Then we have the maximum drop for the meme, which is controlled by the alif that goes down, and this reaches all the way to the second maximum drop. Now this with regards to the height and the drop of each letter. Next we are going to talk about the space between words and letters in the horizontal aspect. For that one, it's quite simple. You leave a point between each and every letter. So let's start with just a combination of letters. So if we had a ba alif, we leave one point between this, and let's assume that this is the end of something. Let's add a sin dal. We leave another 1 point. Let's add a lam ha. Leave 1 point. Let's add a alif. So this explains the horizontal space between words and letters. Let's add a again, this is our chair, and the maximum height would be the alif height. So in general, we add 1 point to show the start of a new word or a new letter. What if we had a combination of letters that go up? So for example, bala. So here the ba will go up high, then the ya would come down to here. We can see that there is an end of the combination of these letters, so this would be far 1 point from the previous letter or combination of letters. The same thing goes if they were with an angle. So for example, if we had a letter that will go up above another one, we add 1 point, so that for example this will have a good space. We can see here the good space between the hum and the mur, and that's basically it for letters that for the space between the words and letters in a horizontal aspect. Now we are going to talk about some notes in the Farsi. We might mention it before, we might not mention them before, but this is just to remind you. First we have the nabarat. This is very important. We have something called اثنينية. اثنينية is basically اثنينية means how, like, adding more nabarat to next to each other. So from its name we have al-ith. Let's start with this part. We have tha, noon, ya, noon, ya, ta marbuta. We can see here that some letters were sort of some nabarat were left up to change the shape of the word. Now we do this to distinguish it from a sin, basically. What if we had a sin? What will happen is the following. So we will raise the before, then add our sin, then if there was something after it, we could raise it. We could also only raise the one after it and continue our writing. So the sin must be 3 nabarat. We talked about it before, but this is just to recap and keep that in mind. We also have something with the Qantara. Qantara is what we connect to a ya, for example, or a ha, this thing. Some Qantarat there are actually parts of words. So let's write ya, fa, and we are going down for a ha. Now here we have a Qantara. Let's add a meme. and another ha, and let's go up and يفهمهم, let's say. Now here it's, if you kept in mind that this is a ha, you will know that this is not a nabira, it's a qantara for the ha, because it's connected to a mim. So this is not a new letter. Now, to make this clear, let's write a ya, nun. Then we have a ta that is connected to a ha. Then we have a part of the ha that goes down to a ya. So here we have yantahi. This part that went up is the ta. Meanwhile, this part is a qantara for the ha. So we don't confuse a nabira to a qantara, which is the connection after a ha. This is very important because sometimes we think that this is a ha, so I'm going to connect it to a ya, and this is wrong. We have to add the qantara. Or we have a ha that is followed by a ta, let's say, and a ya, and we think that this could work as a ta, and this is wrong. If we had a ha followed by a letter, we go up the qantara, then we add the letter after it. And this is a new nabira for the new letter, but this is a connection of the ta. There's also some rules about the elongation or the Kshedah. Let's start with the ya one. Now for the ya one, we learned that we have a sword ya that goes back, and for that one we need to be careful when we use it, whenever we use it, because it's not used everywhere every time. You have to look at the word that you're using it. So for example, if I want to write rijaliya, so jim, alif, if I were to use the sword one here, we can see that it sort of separates the word itself. Now the issue with this is that this would read raja liya. He hoped that I would, he hoped for me. So this does not translate into my men, it translates in another word. Therefore we could add the Kshedah elongation in the jim and keep the ya normal. This word reads better than this word. Again, we want to write the word rijaliya, my men. But if we added the elongation into the ya, thinking that it would look prettier, it would destroy the, let's say, the normal way of reading the word. We would read raja separately and liya separately, and this might make some confusion for some people. This is the first note. The second note would be some elongations. For example, we elongate Ali, the ayn for the Ali, then we elongate the ya with it. So we've got two elongations, 1 and 2. Some people think that they can add the Kshedah whenever they want, wherever they want. Now, although it's true, but we always look at the shape of the letter. So for example, the word tabib, if we were to write ta, then elongate this ba, then add the ya, then again elongate the final ba. Technically, this is correct, but the shape of it is not good. Therefore, what we do is that we have enough of one elongation in this word. As we can see here, this would be the correct way. We don't add too many elongations, unless they were like stacked on top of each other, that they would not affect the general shape of the word. Another thing with regards to the elongations is the letter following them. So if we were to elongate, it will become really thick back here. So you need to be careful what letter is connected to this one, because for example, if you were to connect a qaf to it, qaf is very thin. So you will have to sort of destroy the shape here and the shape of the qaf in order to get rid of this sudden change. So you don't do this, because some calligraphers will just color this part and just pretend that nothing happened. No, you should keep in mind that this will look really ugly. So you connect with the letters that accept a thick beginning. Exception to that is the ha. We can see that we have a natural change of the move for the ha. This is correct, this is fine, we can do this. But to connect it to a qaf, this is very hard. It will look really hard in the script. We also have, for example, the ayn. So let's write sa'i. You have this way of writing sa'i, and you could use the long scene. In my personal opinion, I think that this is prettier. It's very delicate. It adds a nice shape, a nice composition to the word. But if you use this, you can see the thick part of the scene when it connects to ayn. It shows as if it just was glued there. It's not a part of the word. It's just tried to be pushed in there. And you need to be careful with these connections of elongations. Now let us translate what we've learned so far in this script into an example, a practice. We are going to write Bismillah Alrahman Alrahim, and we're going to talk through the writing of this sentence. Now we first start with the obvious, the kursi, the main line of the writing, this one. I might actually make it a bit darker, so that would be more visible for us. So here we have our chair, the main line that the script will rest upon. Bismillah Alrahman Alrahim consists of 4 words. Now for the Basmallah, sometimes we have special cases. For the Farsi, usually they add the Kshedah scene at the beginning, the long one. So for that one, we are going to go 2 points above the line here. And these would be basically barely the beginning of the scene. The ba itself for the Basmallah is 1 point, it's high, so we're going to add the ba here. Now the scene, the length of the scene is 11 points. So here we are going to add a distance of 11 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are going to use our knowledge of the Kshedah shape to make this smooth transition from the ba all the way down to here. Now here we have the meme which will rest on the line, like this. Then what we have is the drop, the maximum drop, which will be governed by the alif of the meme. It could be 4 points, could be 5 points. It's depending on the script and the style you're going for. So, as we said before, this will have to be slightly going to the left. So we take it to the left slightly. And here we have the first word, which is bism. The ba, the dot for the ba would come here to fill in the space that because if you remove the scale, the space below the scene will be quite empty. So we add a dot down here to show the to fill in the space. Now lafz al-jalala Allah. To write this one, we need it to be on the line, but at the same time the alif would come above the meme. So the end line of this word would start the new line here. So here we have an end of the meme, and the alif would come resting upon this one, but we're going to use a short one, 3 points, and we keep in mind the idea that this part will go this way and the other part will go down, the alif shape. We take this part of it. So here we've added the alif. Now Allah will have to rest on the line here. Therefore, knowing that Lafz al-Jalala already comes in an angle, that is almost 1 point because it's the same as the one on top here. We go down, we leave the half point distance, then we leave the 1 point distance, the one we learnt in Lafz al-Jalala. Then we add the ha. The tip of the ha should touch the line here. So here we have Lafz al-Jalala Allah. We leave a space of 1 point between Lafz al-Jalala and Ar-Rahman. Again, the height, now this is a bit too high, the height of the alifs would come generally the same height. So Ar-Rahman would be the same height as Allah. We leave a 1 point distance between those two. The Ra would touch the line down here. And the Ha, Mim, Nun, we start with the top part, then we take down the Mim, then we go for the Nun. Now we know the Nun goes down, then back up, and the dots would come inside this way. So the scaling here would be the Nun scaling, 1 point drop, then the roundation, the 1 points next, below, and around, all around the Nun, and here we have 1 point of drop for the end. The Alif, Ar-Rahim, comes back all the way up to stand up here. The 1 point between those two, go back the same as this one. Finally we have Ar-Rahim, the Ha, 1 point of drop, then the Tiran, then we add our Mim, which will go down all the way to the main line here, and we could add the dots here for the gap. So as we can see here, each word we've scaled it by itself, but we also in a way connected it to the word before it, as we can see here. And this is how to write the Basmallah. After you practice it several times, you would let's say go back and do another one that looks prettier, another one that looks prettier, and here you could try and do something with the Iqtiran. For example, because it's all names of Allah, you could use the Bism. Now you could add Lafz al-Jalala Allah here. This is a new line. This is the kursi for the first one. This is the kursi for the second one. And if you think that it would look prettier to add another line here for Ar-Rahman. For example, then another one for Ar-Rahim. So for example, here you have a nice combination where the alifs are all sort of here's something that you keep seeing is the general shape of the script. So for example, at the beginning you have all sharp starts for the alif lams and alifs and the ba. So this angle here is really nice and pretty. Then you have two has that are coming in the same angle, and the ra's would be also identical and coming in the same angle. So these add to the beauty of the piece of art. Then you have two memes that are relatively in the same shape, the direction, and the alif is for the meme here. So this will give you a nice unity of shapes. Now I would rather say that this is tarkib rather than idmaj, but yeah. Now that you know the letters, the general rules about the letters, what to use and when to use it, I hope this would help you into making great Farsi scripts. Now, I have to stress that learning from YouTube is a good thing, but it's not the only way to learn. The best way is to have a face-to-face class with a master in calligraphy. That way you would get your ijaza. But it's very important to have the interest into learning calligraphy at this young stage, and just go in and practice first, because some calligraphers prefer students with some knowledge rather than no knowledge at all. And I hope you enjoyed this whole course. This would be the last one in this course. I might update in the future, but I try and give more time to new classes, and the notes I might start with on a later stage. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Ammar Awaudi, and please like, subscribe and share these videos with people who are interested into learning calligraphy. Have a lovely day and see you in the next one. Goodbye.